brought to you almost live from the Dude in the Basement studios. Why? Because that's where the good stuff is. It's Sips, Suds, and Smokes with your smoking host, the good old boys. And now it's sippin' time.
Oh yes, it's sippin' time again. Hello and welcome to this Sips episode where everything good in life is worth discussing. As always, we are the best thing on at 2 a.m. This is a 1 hour show that does its best to try to be entertaining for some
minute,
very tiny
fraction
portion of that time frame. We have no evidence that in fact we are succeeding in this mission, but we have no direct evidence we actually landed on the moon either. So I'm just going to take it as a fact that somebody finds this horrible 52 minutes actually fun. So this is Made Man Bob, and joining me today are Made Man Maury.
Good morning, Bob. I love the Spanish theme to the basement.
Isn't it nice?
It is nice.
It's still damp, but it's like being in Spain.
It's delightful.
And good old gal Denise.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Gentlemen, somebody come in.
Well, we do have a new gentleman at the table today.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. He hasn't proven otherwise yet. So
exactly.
Okay.
I got a very European hello. So. And
good old boy Wayne.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me here. Nice way to start off your morning.
Yeah, it doesn't stink, doesn't it? I love my job. It's so much better than my regular day job. Well, Maury and myself are with the Bourbon Mafia. The Bourbon Mafia is a nonprofit organization composed of bourbon enthusiasts and industry professionals. With representation in 8 states, our members combine a love of bourbon with a passion for charitable work. The group uses their love of our native spirit to raise money for local and national charities through rare bottle auctions and other themed events. You can check them out on Facebook at the Bourbon Mafia. And our show is also sponsored in part by the Fort Lauderdale Whiskey Society. To find out more about the Society and their events, you can check them out at ftlws.com. And our sip segments are all about wine, distilled spirits, tea, coffee, and pretty much anything else you can drink. And today's show, we're going to be discussing some lovely wines from Spain, from Bodegas LAN. None of you knew Maury could play the guitar, did you?
No, wow.
I have
so
hidden
impressed.
talents.
Don't talk, just keep playing. It's like Charo, I swear. He's like multi-talented.
Why do you seem so surprised by that?
I thought, I knew there was only one thing you were good at. I didn't know there was 2. So,
Thank God there was no shaking.
oh, dear God, please. No Coochie Coochie for you. All right, so here's a list of the wines that we're going to be tasting today. We have from Bodegas LAN, we have the LAN Crianza. We have the Rioja Reserva, 2012. We have the Rioja Gran Reserva. I think it's a 2010. I have to look. We have the Vina Lanciano Rioja Reserva, 2012. And we have the LAN Culmen Reserva, 2010. So we're going to have Denise tell us all about our signature sounds.
Oh, perfect. Well,
And the sips ratings, of course.
yeah. The ratings, the sounds, something. Anyway, we'll be tasting and discussing these wines and rating them with these sips ratings, plus our signature sounds. Here are those ratings now.
Well, I'm playing the sounds, so they're much more important than the ratings. I'm just pointing that out.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. 1.
Sip. 1 sip.
Well, I guess you can't pause because he just interjects just like that.
Yeah,
Well, I thought you were going to be
much,
Justin.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 sip. Give me a glass of water to wash out my mouth.
Water! Bring water! Bring water!
Very nice. 2 sips. Nice. But what else do you have?
Well, isn't that nice?
3 sips. Interesting. What was this again?
Interesting.
4 sips. Let's keep this a secret to ourselves. Pour me another.
That's classified.
5 sips. Oh my. I was unaware anything could be this good.
The sound Maury's never heard. Except on the show. I'm just saying.
I'll have what she's having.
And the deli.
All right. Thanks, Denise. So we're going to have Maury tell us a little bit about Rioja and about Bodegas LAN.
I got quite a bit to tell you. It's not going to be little. Trust me. Rioja.
That's not what I heard.
Rioja is a Spanish wine region defined by the Denominación de Origen Calificada, or
muy bien.
DOCA. There are 3 grape-growing provinces in Rioja: La Rioja, Navarre, and the Basque province of Álava. Rioja is further subdivided into 3 zones: Rioja Alta, Rioja Oriental, and Rioja Alavesa. Aging of the wine is done in 225-liter oak barrels for a period from 1 to 3 years, with further aging in the bottle from 6 months to upwards of 6 years. There are 3 classifications of Rioja, which are based on the time of the aging of the wine: Crianza, Reserva, and Gran Reserva. The grape varieties used in Rioja are set by the DOCA. For red varieties, they consist of Tempranillo, Garnacha Tinta, Mazuelo, Graciano, and Maturana Tinta. And for white varieties, Viura, Malvasia, and Garnacha Bianca. Blanca. Did I say Bianca?
Yeah.
You did.
I had Bianca on the brain.
You're thinking
She was lovely.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Nick got rid of her, though, so.
Yeah. Bodegas LAN was founded in 1972 and is named after the initials of the 3 provinces in the DOCA, Logroño, known as La Rioja, Álava, and Navarra.
Wow, man, he's getting the big words. I'm impressed.
They
He's
are
not
grapes
rolling
from
those R's,
independent
though.
growers and from their own vineyard in Vina, Lanciano. This vineyard is 178 acres, sheltered by the Cantabria mountain range and contained within a natural loop in the Ebro River, just inside the border of Rioja Alta and Rioja Alavesa. The soil is a stony soil of pebbles, gravel, and sand, rich in carbonates and with good drainage. This combination forces the vines to dig their roots deep into the soil for nutrients. The vines grow on lightly sloping terrain at an average altitude of 1,300 feet, with a northwest-southwest inclination, affording the vines optimal sun exposure. The old vines are between 40 and 60 years of age, and the varieties include Tempranillo, Mazuelo, Graciano, and Garnacha. The independent growers are paid bonuses based on the quality rather than the quantity of the grapes harvested. LAN follows sustainable vinicultural practices in their vineyards to maximize quality grapes and balance production, never using any chemical fertilizers and only using organic solutions as needed. They also don't use any herbicides or pesticides. Their barrel cellar, which contains nearly 20,000 barrels, is equipped with a cooling system that permits temperatures under 59 degrees Fahrenheit and a humidity above 85%, avoiding any oxidation and loss of aromas. For their cooperage, they use barrels made from American, French, and Russian oak with varying levels of toast. They also use hybrid oak barrels with American staves and French oak tops and bottoms, a practice pioneered by LAN, and they are currently experimenting with a Spanish oak called Roble Perenneco.
I'll give you that one because I can't pronounce it either.
Sorry.
Anybody? Somebody?
Perennecio?
Perenneso?
We live in South
Perenneco?
Florida. Half the people we know speak Spanish, but
Perenneco.
these are words I've never seen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So anyway, there you have it.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Maury. He tried. Golf clap.
I think that was very good.
Golf clap.
Good job.
Very well done.
I'll take a bow.
All right. Well, let's get to some tasting here. And what do you think, Mr. Wick?
Recommend anything for the end of the night. Something big, bold.
Thank you, Mr. Wick. Okay. So the first wine that we've got here, we've got the LAN Crianza. This is from 2015. It's produced from 95% Tempranillo, 3% Mazuelo in the vineyards, and the vines are between 10 and 20 years of age. This expression is aged for 14 months in hybrid barrels, American French oak, followed by 9 months of bottle aging before it's released. So let me grab this and see if I can do it without taking the giant wine glass and knocking the microphone, which is going to be a revolving theme with this show. Well, it's got a beautiful color on it. It's what the vintner would basically call a cherry red. I think they're not far off on that. The nose, I'm definitely getting some ripe fruit, red fruits. Getting some raspberry on that, a little bit of cranberry. Definitely a sweet, almost macerated fruit. On the palate, just a slight bit of dryness, a little bit of tannin on the back. Yeah, overall, a very nice Crianza. Very well put together. I can't find any flaws with it. What do you think, Maury?
I agree, Bob. I think it's a very nicely made wine. It's a little young. It did take a few minutes to open up in the glass. We did let these aerate a little bit, and I think that's made quite a difference. It's definitely the lightest of the bunch today. I definitely would agree with the red fruits. Definitely mostly cherry and raspberry sort of dominated the palate. Some dry tannins, but overall very nice effort.
I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I think I'm picking up the French oak. You know, it's the same character you get on French oak heads in a whiskey barrel. It's just sort of that
You're
little
imagining
bit of
it.
character.
So what would you enjoy that with, Bob? Something a little bit lighter in texture for food or heavier?
I think about chicken and fish. To me, this
I'm going with that. Maybe not steak, but
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely for for the beginning of a meal or for a lighter course. It's not the thing that I would grab if I'm having a big steak, but well done. We'll be back. Hey, and we're back, and we're discussing some lovely Rioja wines from Bodegas LAN, and we're still talking about the 2015 Crianza. What did you think, Denise?
I like this wine, actually. When I first tried it, it actually was a little sweeter on the nose, more strawberry, I guess. But now that it's had an opportunity to sit in the glass, to be honest, I get more, deeper fruits, even maybe stewed fruit for me.
Yeah, that's me. It's
right?
it's like a pile of stewed red fruit.
Yeah. They had a description with it being silky and structured on the palate. I wouldn't describe it as silky. I get the tannins. It's, a little drier and not as structured, but overall, it's nice. Definitely drinkable.
Yeah, I got the tannin on the very front of the palate.
Absolutely.
Back
Tip of the
teeth.
tongue.
But that's what I expect from a Crianza. I mean, it's, well done. What'd you think, Wayne?
at first, even though we had opened them and aerated them, I thought it was a little tight. It was a little, maybe astringent, but now that we've tasted it again and we've gone through the rest of the wines, going back to this one, I think it's a fun wine, as you had mentioned, for the beginning of the meal. I think it is nicely structured, and I think probably a value to someone that's enjoying and maybe wanting to try out some Rioja wines for the first time.
That's the thing I always loved about Rioja is they're always, in general, a pretty good value. I mean, 20, 25 years ago, they were steel, but still, wines coming in from Spain, even today, generally seem to be, for the money to me. I seem to be able to find, a lot better quality for the dollar than a lot of other regions. And especially considering, it's coming all the way from Spain as opposed to, something here from America that costs 2 to 3 times as much. So I've always been a big fan of Spanish wine. So.
But I agree with Wayne. I would say that anything you might pair a Pinot Noir with would work equally well with this Crianza.
Yeah, this would be exactly that. I think you're dead on. I think it's a swap.
What I'm really impressed with all the wines here today and for the Spanish wine section is the quality and the texture of it. I remember having wines 20 years ago, as you said, they were a little bit more rusty looking, a little bit more raw looking. And I think maybe they were sending the Americans their stuff that they didn't like so much, but the quality has really, really risen.
Yeah.
And I think
it was different.
Looking at the color of these is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, even the way that they made them and the way that they sold them 25 years ago, they'd make them and then they'd rest them in the bottle 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years or more before they'd even release them. So, I mean, it was not uncommon to go in and find a 10 or a 15 or an 18-year-old wine sitting on the shelf for a very reasonable price. I don't know if they've changed that because the palates have changed, or they've just changed that because economics, but that was just the old way of doing it. And I think you're right. I think we weren't getting the quality. You'd get a great one, and then you get one, like you said, it had that sort of more of a rusty color to it. It was, I'm sure it was drinkable and it got you where you needed to go, but it just wasn't the quality of the one you'd had the last time. So, but good stuff. So we're going to be giving the LAN Crianza 2015 3 sips.
Interesting.
So we're going to have Denise tell us about our next one.
Okay, so the next one is the LAN Rioja Reserva. It's 2012. And this wine is produced from 92% Tempranillo and 8% Graziano in select vineyards of the Rioja Alta and Alavesa subzones with an average age of 20 to 25 years. It is aged for 16 months in mixed oak barrels, that's American and French, followed by an additional 24 months of bottle conditioning. So, well, the color, like so many on the table today, is a beautiful, deep, dark red, a garnet color, and those are also very pretty. On the nose for me, I definitely got the deep, dark red fruits, and I got some earthiness and some spices, and that was really pleasant. And that was after a little while when it had a little time to open up. On the palate, I thought it had a really nice mouthfeel. However, it was not as fruity as I had expected it to be with that nose, but it was very pleasant, and I actually particularly liked the finish because for me, the finish was a little spicy and a little peppery, and I like that in so many things, and wine is one of them as well.
I would agree with you, Denise. I really thought it reminded me a little bit of an American Zinfandel with that spicy finish.
Yeah.
I think this one's definitely more earthy on the palate than the Crianza. It's definitely got more of the earth tones and less fruit on the palate, although the palate, you're right, is in contrast to the nose. But definitely more body, more depth. Now you're talking about a wine that could go better with a little bit of a heartier meal, perhaps or steak or stew even.
Hamburger.
Or hamburger.
Oh, yeah. Nice, greasy hamburger. Yeah.
But I like this wine quite a lot. What'd you think, Wayne?
I thought the wine was fantastic, and we're drinking them in a nice order from we're going a little bit lighter to fuller bodied. I picked up a little vanilla in there, and I think the vanilla is probably coming from the mixture of the oak regiment on that, because that's a very important thing for the wine.
Oh, but I was just imagining it. Okay.
It was there.
Yes.
We didn't drop any vanilla drops in the wine beforehand, but a nice, well-rounded and easy drinking, and a step up from the Crianza.
Yeah, a little more tannin, a little more structure.
Sure.
Yeah, more body, much more full, more thick, more texture, more meaty to it.
Yeah, nice
Right.
mouthfeel.
Yeah, got a great mouthfeel. It's got more of the spice in the back end, which is something that the old Riojas used to have like huge tons of pepper back in the day. I mean, that's sort of toned down these days, I think. But this is more of that pepper that I used to crave back in law school when I was, drinking Spanish wine like a fiend, trying to keep my sanity. Yeah, extremely well made. And again, I think all of these are really, the errors, they're really opening up from when we first opened them. And I think they're definitely improving even more than when we first started tasting them. So.
Yeah, and I would say patience with these first couple ones, especially the younger ones. Patience is a virtue. We let these open about 90 minutes now, and we aerated them, ran them through the Venturi, and I think it's really in the last half an hour that they've become much more approachable than, say, the first right after we first poured them.
Yeah. Definitely.
And take note that you need to remember what the Rioja Crianza Rioja Gran Reserva means. It's not a level as we are used to in America of Reserva, but it's an aging process. So it's aging a long time in the barrel and then bottled and then aged a long time again before it's released to the public. So it's got a different depth and breadth to it, I think.
Great point.
Yep.
We are moving in the right direction.
But a lovely wine, and we're going to be giving. What year was this? 2012.
We're going to be giving it a rating.
The
We're gonna give
Reserva
it a rating.
2012. We're going to be rating this one at 3 sips.
Interesting.
Interesting.
All right, so we're going to be going to our next wine, and we're going to have Wayne tell us about that one.
Well, the next wine, we were going to check and see what the vintage was on that, and we still haven't. So I'm going to just talk about Rioja Gran Reserva, produced from 90% Tempranillo and from select vineyards of the Rioja Alta area. It's 10%, well, I said 90% Tempranillo and 10% Mazzolo. And from the Vina Lancasto estate. It is aged for 24 months in American and French oak barrels. 24 months, that is, followed by an additional aging of 36 months of bottle conditioning. So 24 plus 36 is a very long time. Probably the price goes up with a little bit of this one, I'm thinking. Color I'm looking at is a little garnet with ruby hues. I think it's a pretty color. We call it a CSB, which is a can't see bottom. So I like not being able to see my fingers through that. The nose is ripe, fruity, spicy, little vanilla again, both on the nose, cardamom, little anise almost. If you will, I'll have to smell it one more time.
No, I would agree with you, Wayne. I definitely pick up a little of that licorice anise.
The anise is fantastic with that. I mean, again, we're not dropping any licorice in there, but that comes from the barrel aging and the terroir. On the palate, it's nice. It's got a nice full-bodied, a little bit in the middle. I'm missing it a little bit in the middle of the palate. So we've got a lot going on in the front of the mouth, and then it misses the middle of my tongue, and then it finishes off with a nice splash at the end. So all around, I think it's a nice wine.
What'd you think, Bob?
I thought it was a lovely wine. Again, as Wayne said, it's this has got a significant amount of aging on it before it gets released. You're basically getting 3 years in the bottle and 2 years in the oak. I definitely get a little bit of the spice on it. I definitely still pick up that vanilla from the French oak. I definitely pick up the licorice. I get a little bit of the. I get a little bit of sort of the old leather.
I got some of that as well, Bob. Some of the leather.
Yeah, it's like old, worn.
Mm-hmm. But I got some sweet floral notes on the nose. I don't know.
In the tip.
Those.
Just in the tip of the nose, just a slight little
Yeah.
bit. But on the palate, it's. It's got a lovely mouthfeel. It does have a little bit of a drop in the center of the palate, but the front and the sides are real solid.
Yeah. Wayne was spot on with that.
Yeah.
It misses that mid palate.
It's almost like a donut.
Yeah.
It's got a little hole right in the middle, but it's still working its way
it's still
through.
a very nice wine. It's
Where did
just
my tongue
it's just
go?
not that solid. It's the tongue coating. It's just that little bit of mid palate where it sort of dips down a little bit. But
Which gives you a little
other than
nice
that-
surprise on the finish because
Other than that, really
you
nice.
think it's going away and then you get a finish.
Oh no, it's got a very nice finish. It definitely
Yeah.
sticks with you. So
Right.
this is definitely a wine to be reckoned with. What'd you think, Denise?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I do wish that it had that mid palate something there because you get it in the front and it's great. And like I said, you miss the mid palate and think, oh, that's it. It's one and done. But you get a nice little finish. So sure would be nice if it were just really well rounded in that way. But it's otherwise very nice, and I enjoyed it.
Well, we have identified the bottle as a 2010.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank
that
you.
might have something to do with it. If we think about it, it's been aged for 5 years before it was released.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got another, it's a 9-year-old bottle of
Yeah.
wine.
Yeah.
And it's definitely got a couple extra years over the Reserva that we had. So again, different vintage, couple more years of bottle age.
Yeah, I think that right there, the 2010, that's your problem. You know why?
Bring us some fresh wine. No more of this old stuff.
Yeah, that's the problem.
No more of that.
I'm
old
with Steve.
stuff.
Yeah, bring me the fresh stuff. I mean, oh my God, there's snails on her plate too. So,
Oh no.
so what did you think, Maury?
Rich Corinthian leather.
I'm gonna echo what everybody else has said. I thought it was.
So then we skip you. Okay.
Okay. Good. Thank you.
Yes, just call me Justin.
Okay.
Yeah, well, You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
So saith the dude.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I really thought it was well made. I thought it was very comparable to the Reserva, but again, it had some subtle differences. The addition of the anise and licorice flavors, and then the little bit of dropout in the mid palate. So similar but different. Again, it's got a beautiful, deep red color. I love the color, although you can't drink color. But I thought it was a nice effort.
Unlike you, I don't see color, but I'm just more evolved. What can I tell you?
He can hear color.
No, I'm just colorblind. I can't see color. And it's like,
He can hear color.
Don't laugh. It
That's
hit me
in
out of the army.
Smokes
Yeah.
episodes.
No, but yeah, a lovely wine. Definitely a lovely wine. So we're going to be giving the Rioja Gran Reserva 2010 3 sips.
Interesting.
Well, the threes are in for the win today, huh?
I liked it better when we did individual scoring, but I'm just
okay. We've been outvoted.
Yeah, no.
That's how it goes.
You got to go to the averages. So, all right. So we're going to be going on to our next wine, and we're going to have Denise tell us about that one.
Oh, okay. Here we go. So the next wine is the Vina Lanciano Rioja Reserva, 2012. Named in homage to the vineyard from which it originates, Vina Lanciano is cultivated from vines that are more than 30 years of age. 85% Tempranillo, 10% Graziano, and 5% Mazuelo. The wine is aged for a total of 36 months, 18 months in oak, combines 12 months in French oak and 6 months in Russian oak, and 18 months of aging in the bottle prior to release. So.
Cool.
Right?
Russian oak.
This should be big.
Yeah, Russian oak.
Communist.
Ooh. Sorry, I was tasting that again. So this one, I don't know, with the color, it's just as deep and dark as the one prior. And it's beautiful. And I love Wayne's little acronym abbreviation.
CSB.
CSB, Can't See Bottom. And no, you cannot. The nose on this, for me, I had a lot of the dark black fruits. That tends to be the direction I seem to be going today. And also on the nose for me, very little sweet, so a little bakery, pastry kind of sweet for me. And I also got, here we go, maybe a little, sometimes I'm not quite sure if it's floral or soapy floral sort of note. But sometimes when I nose it, that's what I think about, like a little florally soap. And I got that. And I got some mint. Anybody else here?
Yes.
Yay for the mint, right?
More on the nose than the palate.
Oh, definitely. I can't say that I really got any mint on the palate. I thought this palate was nice and soft and elegant and had a really great mouthfeel.
I agree with you, Denise. I think this wine is a little more feminine and a little more fruity than, say, the previous two, which were a little bit more earthy. I think this is a different direction in terms of the fruitiness and the elegance and finesse on the palate. What do you think, Wayne?
I think you've hit it on the head. What I've really enjoyed with all of the wines, including this one specifically, is we've been sitting here talking for 40 minutes maybe, or 35, 40 minutes, and they're still evolving. And one of my favorite things to do when drinking a wine, whether it be an old wine, California, New World, Old World, is I open it up and I make all my guests taste it immediately and then decant them or do whatever. And this one is still evolving, and I think it's a fantastic wine. The color is just spectacular.
Yes.
It is dark ruby red and just delicious.
Bordering on inky.
It is almost inky. It's probably turning my teeth purple. But I think with a big hearty meal, I think this is your way to go. Some black peppercorn steak would be nice with it, I think.
I agree.
Let's do it.
Bobby.
Did we order anything?
Are the steaks coming?
Breakfast?
Too.
I don't know. Did you order them?
That was your job.
I'm waiting on you.
I'm sorry.
So
I didn't realize this is my job.
It was.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Wayne. And in fact, one of my pet peeves is at the restaurants, when you're doing a tasting menu especially, the servers want to quickly grab away the wines from as soon as they pour the next. And I tend to try to keep all of them because they all tend to evolve through the evening. And it's really fun to go back to some of the earlier wines and see how much they've changed. Even some of the whites, some of the big Burgundian whites will definitely evolve over the course of a couple-hour meal.
Absolutely.
Right.
Of course, you're also an alcoholic, so when they try to take your glass away, you get hostile.
Correct. Well,
So,
but
yeah.
that goes without saying.
Don't touch the glass.
Yeah, just leave the glass, Sparky. Don't touch it. Leave it alone. Is there something still in it? Yeah, I'm not done. So,
But it's nice to go back and revisit them and really see how they've opened up. And I mean, and even with the show, you could change your notes completely.
Oh, we've done that.
And I've done that so many times. My original notes, and I'm tasting it as we start and think, oh, nope, I got to.
well, and when we do the whiskey shows, we do that quite often. And whiskey will change with oxygen, but not nearly to the extent that wine will.
Sure.
So we do that with whiskey. Imagine how often we're going to do that with wine. That's, every one of these is changing, and every one of these, so far is changing for the better. They were good when they came out, but they seem to be improving even more. So we'll be back. Hey, and we're back, and we are still talking about some lovely Rioja wines from Bodegas LAN in Spain and from Rioja. We are currently talking about the 2012 Vina Lanciano Rioja Reserva.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
Yeah, I actually got it out.
That was good.
Boy, that just rolled right off your
After
tongue,
4
Bob.
bottles
That
of
was
wine?
great.
Yeah, I've been drinking, yeah. All my foreign languages get better. I start talking in tongues the more I drink.
Okay.
So everybody's went around the room. It's back up to me now. So, yeah, the color on this thing is, again, as we're going, we started the Crianza, the Rioja, the Reserva, the Gran. We're working our way up, and the color on this thing is, light doesn't penetrate. This is absolutely magnificent. Like you said, can't see the bottom.
Going to the dark
Just
side,
got
Bob.
that
We're going
when you-
to the dark side.
Well, when you hold it up, you get that inky, you get that inkiness, but you get that lovely corona of just beautiful ruby and garnet around the edge. So it's not, it's dark. It's not dark. It's
Wow, that was a $10 word.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not brown dark. It's just gorgeous. So the color on this is really, really nice. It's got some great body to it. I definitely am getting the mint on the nose. I definitely get the sweetness on the tip. Yeah, just on the tip of the nose. And then on the palate, hold on. God, I love this job. Yeah, it's got a really nice mouthfeel to it. It's got a really great body, great mouth coating feel to it. There's no drop off on this. There's no hole on the palate.
Picked up a little sweetness in the glass.
Yeah, it's
It was
getting
definitely
sweeter the longer
drier
it's sitting here.
when we poured it.
Oh yeah, when we poured it, it was bone dry, and I'm getting the sweetness in the center of the palate. The other one had sort of that dip in the palate. This one's more like a lump and like a hump. The sweetness is coming to the front.
A lump,
Yeah,
a
this
hump,
would
a
be
bump.
this would be
It's something.
a nice
Something good.
this with a nice prime rib. Damn, where's the steak? You didn't bring any steak.
I thought we ordered that already.
Yeah.
Well, I
this
think
is-
that maybe Uber Eats.
Uber
They're on their
Eats.
way.
Delivery dudes. Where did I say that?
They're
yeah,
at the
this
gate.
one,
Let's let
this
them
one,
in.
this one's really hitting it. This one's hitting it on all cylinders, and this is the one from their signature vineyard. This is their own vineyard that they own. Again, all natural practices. They don't use any chemicals, no chemical fertilizers, no fungicides, no nothing. 100% sustainable agriculture, which
nice to know.
seems
And
to
that's
be
across the board, right?
Yeah,
With all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, that's and even in the people, all the other vineyards as well. That's how they do it, and it seems like everybody seems to be going that way these days. Everybody only seems to use chemicals or anything when absolutely necessary.
Everybody's looking at that, though.
I mean, if you make your
Everybody.
living growing grapes, you make your living from the land, you start to develop a very healthy respect for it. And most of the people that I've ever talked to, they've more and more and more the respect that they're getting for the land is taking them away from the old way of doing things and taking them back to the old way of doing things. And I think the wines are getting better as a result. I think this one's excellent, and we're going to be giving this one 3 sips.
Interesting.
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 It's also interesting that we rate it and then early on, and then it opens up, and I can't help but wonder if we went back and rated them again if our ratings would
Well, I think what we're seeing is a phenomenon we see in a lot of things, and I see it at work, and that is everything is migrating to the center, in this case all threes, but it's really not all threes because we've got maybe a 4, maybe a 2, maybe a 3. We've got a lot of diversity among us. And when you do an average, everything seems to average to a 3. We've had some that were pure 3s, some that were pure 2s.
But as we are all sitting here as supposed professional drinkers, we are also rating these as to what they really are. This Crianza is completely different than a Gran Reserva and Reserva. So I've rated mine based on what we're drinking. So,
and that's the thing. It's what's in the glass.
Right.
It's not what's in the glass next to the
else.
glass. It's what's in that glass.
Sure.
No, I agree, but I'm just simply saying that it's not that they're all 3. They're all
when
a
you
little bit
average,
different.
some are leaning more towards one way and some are leaning more towards another way. And also these have changed significantly since we first did the ratings. I mean, if I redid mine now, I'd definitely be moving it up because this one is really taking just a really lovely turn.
But Wayne points out something interesting. We could conceivably spend 4 hours doing this tasting. And look at the evolution of these wines. And there's no perfect way. We could drink them right out of the bottle and we'd have one rating.
And you can't,
we could decant them 3 hours in advance.
What are you going to do? You're going to give it a score in the first hour and the second hour. And what's your score for the third, for 90 minutes? And what's your score for 120 minutes? The
point is there's no perfect time at which to drink them.
Well, it just shows that scores aren't really, they're not the determining factor. I'm sure that somebody at Wine Spectator just probably called John Wick to have me killed. But they're not the determining factor. It's what your palate likes. And honestly, it's more of what we're discussing about what we like about it than the number we assign to it. That's what's in the glass.
Very, very important for all the wine consuming new peoples out there to be able to go to tastings and to be able to pick up a bottle of wine, because you probably don't know what's in this glass because you don't know what's in this glass. So, I mean, 2 of these wines are the first time I'm tasting them ever, and I've been doing this for only 26 years, drinking and selling wine.
Well, you started when you were 2. I think your mother put it in the baby bottle.
Well, this much water and this much wine. That's the way it works. That's the way it works.
Use the rating as a guide. Don't use it as gospel. Use it to get you into the room, but don't make it all about the room. It's I've had plenty that were rated much lower. I've had wines sitting next to each other where one was significantly rated higher than the other, and I really thought the one that was rated lower was a better wine, because your taste, it's what you're tasting that day, it's what is hitting your palate that day, and it's also value too. That's the other thing. I mean,
without a doubt,
you can throw money at a problem. It's like anything else. You want a really fancy hot car, you throw a lot of money at it, you can probably get one. You want a really good wine, you throw a lot of money, you can get one. Anybody can do that. It's finding the gems.
Right.
That's the fun part. So,
but I think that Wayne made a really good point with regard to doing wine tastings. I mean, even people who really don't have, a very seasoned or experienced palate shouldn't be intimidated by their local wine tastings or restaurants that do pairings. It is just a great way to learn about wine. And some of them are really fairly priced. I mean, they're not really expensive. Naturally, you can do some very high-end tastings. But when people think they like wine or they know they like wine, but they just don't know what wine they like, it's just a great way to just jump in and learn about it and learn what you like.
I always tell my newbies to check out the newspaper, check out the radio station, check out and find out where the tastings are, because that's the way to do it. If you have to pay $30, $50 and to be able to taste 15 different wines, what would that cost you if you had to buy 15 different wines?
That's the best part about wine. It's the voyage. It's the learn. It's one of the few things we're learning is the fun part. I mean, I remember in college when I was in engineering school learning thermodynamics. That was like murder. It was not fun. But learning wine, even the bad ones, you know what? It's still pretty fun.
Sure.
So, and like Wayne said, don't be intimidated. Right. Just, go in and try them all. That's how you develop your palate. One, to learn more about the wines and to learn to be able to judge good ones from bad ones, but also to learn your palate. Because what you like is not what the guy next to you likes and the guy across the hall from you likes. Everybody's palate is different.
Best thing ever said.
And your palate is different from one day to the next day. And, I've been drinking wine for, 30 years of my life. And people say, what's your favorite wine? I don't have one. And I find my taste in wine go in waves of, sometimes 3 or 6 months or sometimes a year. For a period of time, all I want is, I want a really bold, just grab you by the scruff of the neck and shake the heck out of you Shiraz from Australia. Something that grabs you by the neck and yells at you in Aussie voice, I'm a wine, And then I'm completely done with that. And then I'm looking for just that beautiful, soft, round, feminine burgundy. And that's all I want. And then I'm done with that. And then I'm looking for the next thing, and it's just, and then all of a sudden, what do you want? Oh, I'm looking for a Syrah, and then nice petite Syrah. Your taste,
so variety really is
your
the
taste
spice
will
of life,
evolve,
isn't it,
and your
Bob?
taste will change. It's that's the fun part about wine is it's a journey. It's not, again, sure, you can be one of those schmucks that shows up who just hit the lottery and throws a big wad of money down and says, build me a big cellar full of fancy stuff I can show my idiot friends. That's no fun. I mean, sure, it's fun for us. We'd drink the heck out of what they buy because they wouldn't know the difference. But finding the stuff that you like that's the fun part. It's, it's like being Mel Fisher and finding the gold treasure. I mean, that's the fun part, going through all the wines and finding that one that just really sings to you.
And it doesn't have to be a $150 bottle of wine.
Absolutely not. No.
I used to sell 8,000 different wines, and my favorite thing to do was to find a good one under $15.
That's it. When you find
they exist.
Yeah, when you find that $15 wine that drinks like a $50 wine, it's like you're like Mel Fisher. It's like you just found the pirate ship full of gold, and you just pray that some writer doesn't pick up on it and publicize the heck out of it, because then all of a sudden it gets ruined and the price goes up 3 times.
Yep.
And how many times have you found a wine that you loved, and then all of a sudden, boom, it gets rated by 3 or 4 people. The quality goes in the tank, the price goes up, and you're like, But then again, it's fun because now you're off that one, and now you've got to go try and find the new one. So
ever evolving.
That's it. So, okay, we've got one more wine left, and we're going to have Maury tell us about that one.
Thank you, Bob. The last wine is the LAN Culmen Reserva 2010. Culmen is only made during vintages that are deemed of outstanding quality. It is made from 85% Tempranillo and 15% Graciano grapes, hand-harvested from 40 to 60-year-old vines planted in their Pago El Rincon plot, located within the Vina Lanciano estate. The grapes are hand-selected in 2 sorting tables. The grapes are then fermented in small, temperature-controlled stainless steel tanks at a high temperature to obtain maximum aromatic extraction. Malolactic fermentation took place in new 225-liter French oak barriques from the Tronquay and Jupille forests. The wine was aged for 24 months in barrel, followed by 20 months of rounding out in the bottle. So this is sort of one of their flagships, and as they say, only made in outstanding vintages, not made every year. Even the packaging is really upgraded. It was a thick, heavy
It feels like a Magnum.
Yeah.
It's
a big, heavy bottle. The color is just deep and dark and brooding and inky. It's just
thick.
It's thick, yeah. You definitely cannot see the bottom. And the nose is really, really interesting. It's got layers and layers. This is really just everything we've been talking about amped up. Some red ripe fruit, some black fruit. You even get a little hint of the anise and licorice on the nose. You definitely get a little bit of spice and oak and earthiness. It's really, really interesting and complex nose. On the palate, it's got a beautiful mouthfeel. It's just coating and luscious. Again, layers and layers of fruit, and it really just bathes your palate. Has a very long and persistent finish. It's really evolved nicely. Again, it was very closed when it first came out of the bottle. Definitely benefited from some air.
Yeah, these last 2 really needed the time out.
Yeah, and I find that with Riojas in general, they definitely need a little bit more air than some of the other wines. It'd be fun to watch this thing over the next 3 to 4 hours. But really a very, very nice wine. I've really enjoyed this. This is really my favorite of the flight today. So thank you for bringing it, Bob.
Yeah, this one didn't come with the samples that we received, and I wanted to round it out and get a few more so we'd fill in the whole hour.
Oh, I'm so glad you did.
And
Cheers.
We're lucky that
Thank God for you.
Apparently, wine is popular in Florida because a lot of states you can't, it's harder to find. And I had to drive up to meet a client in Boca, and they had this at a store in Boca, and went in and picked it up Friday. So went in, they had 2 bottles there. I'm like, yay, hooray. This will be nice.
So, Murray, you mentioned a word that wasn't mentioned in the previous 4 wines, and that's malolactic fermentation. You want to tell our guests what that is about? Maybe a little bit for those who don't know.
Well, interesting. Malolactic fermentation. It's interesting that they mention it here. We don't know whether or not the others underwent the malolactic fermentation. I'm most familiar with it in white wines in terms of producing that sort of butteriness from the lactic acid. I probably would defer to you in terms of some of the science of malolactic fermentation, but it is a secondary type of fermentation that occurs.
It's a secondary fermentation that takes the acids, the high acids that are like grapefruit or lemon or lime, and turns them into butter acids. The malolactic.
Instead of yeast, it's bacteria that changes it from regular acid to lactic acid.
Lactic acid, and it's the butter effect. If you've ever had milk or cream, you'd understand the difference between skim milk and whole milk and half and half. That's what is going on there. So it's got a little bit longer, a little bit fattier or flabbier, if you will. Like I say, I'm not chubby. I'm just really tasty.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thick.
Oh,
You're malolactically round.
oh my goodness.
Oh, there you go.
Is it too early
These
for that?
3 men.
Is it too early for that?
Could be.
Drinking wine, it's not.
So what do you think, Denise?
I really like this wine. It's my favorite. Can somebody help me with the nose? I don't know if it's just the earthy mineral notes. I get a little, at first I said tobacco, but honestly it's a little, I hate to say it because it's not in a bad way, but a little ashtray, but not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Just in an interesting.
You know what I'm getting? I'm getting the cigar box.
Maybe that's okay.
There
I'm
you
getting
go.
Like
the
I
cigar
said,
box.
I needed help with that. Thank you,
cigar,
gentlemen.
I'm getting that
From
tobacco
the cigar
wood. Yeah.
men at the table.
But it has to be a burning. It's got to have some
Yes.
ash in it.
That's it. A little ash.
Yeah. This one is absolutely.
But I love it.
Yeah. This was worth the drive. I may next time I go back to Boca, if they have another one, I might have to pick another one of these up.
What'd you think of it, Wayne?
I love this wine. I picked this one out as my favorite from the beginning. It's interesting, only made in the best of years.
Yep.
Beautiful.
So we're going to be giving this one 4 sips.
Yay.
That's classified.
All right, well, that's all the time we have today. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and you catch all of our episodes where you found this one, as well as on terrestrial and satellite radio, and online at iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, CBS Radio, radio.com, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and anywhere else you can listen to a podcast. The easiest way to find this show on your phone is to ask Alexa, Siri, Google, or whoever the woman is that talks back to you, play podcast Sips, Suds, and Smokes. We love your feedback, and you can reach us online at info@sipsudsandsmokes.com. Our daily tasting notes flow out on Twitter every day at SipSudSmoke, and our Facebook page is always buzzing with lots of news. And you'll also be able to interact with the thousands of other fans on those social media platforms. You can also check us out on Instagram at SipSudsandSmokes or at MadeManBob. Do us a favor and please take the time to rate this episode if you're listening to it online. It's a big help to us, and we get to see your feedback as well. I want to thank our co-hosts for joining us today. Thank you, Maury.
Thank you, Bob. It was a pleasure being here. Go España.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, gentlemen, and cheers.
And thank you, Wayne.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
We're Sip, Suds, and Smokes. This is Made Man Bob, and we thank you for joining us. And remember, life is too short to drink bad wine.
Isn't that the truth?
Isn't that true?
Yeah, well, that's just like
Bring in the
your
flamenco
opinion,
dancers.
We need some ham.
Serrano ham.
There you
Yes,
go.
Wayne.
Breakfast here yet?
Oh, that's so true.
I love this job.
Doesn't suck.
been a one-tan hand production of Sips, Suds, and Smokes, a program devoted to the appreciation of some of the finer slices of life. From the Dude in the Basement Studios, your hosts, the Good Old Boys, will see you all next time.